is Dorothy Mae Wilson.
Okay, and
My maiden name was Jones, so I was Dorothy.
could you tell us a little bit about your independence? How independent are you today?
Well, I'm independent. They were doing some renovation in my building. They did quite a nice renovation. Took all the wallpaper off the walls and the halls and ways, and looks much nicer because everything is white now. It looks much clearer. And so my nephew said, "Aunt Dorothy, you shouldn't be staying there. You should come over and stay with us." So I went over to Melvin's and I stayed for a while, But I still like to be independent, my own place. I can take care of everything yet. I go do my shopping. I still drive. My license is good until 212. I don't know what I'll be doing in 212. And that's why I keep my independence up, And I read quite a bit and keep up with the latest. And Early, the lady that run with you, she'll call me sometime. I just met her through the Silver Club, but we always kept in contact. Also, Jean Porter. And she'd say, "Dorothy, look at channel so-and-so and so. Channel this or channel that," something like that. So I think your independence, it's up to you. As long as your mind, if you can keep that mind. Sometimes physically, you might begin to fail a little bit, but if you can keep your mind and try to keep yourself in tune of what's going on, see? And try to continue as many things that you did when you were younger as you able. Because when I was, say, in the 40s, I never even thought about being 98 years. That didn't even cross my mind. I never even thought about it. And all of a sudden,
there you are.
Here I am.
That's wonderful. That's so wonderful.
And so I just pray to God that I continue. And then after my sister passed, who lived right next door to your mother, after my sister passed, everybody thought some people thought I was going to leave. I said, no, I still have relatives here, and I said I like it here, and I was involved in here. And so I decided to stay in Ypsilanti, see.
Well, we're truly glad that you stayed.
And then I joined Brown Chapel under Reverend George Powell.
Okay.
Yes, and that was, I think, in 73, early 73. And so I just got involved, and my sister said, I'd never seen somebody come to town from somewhere and get so involved. When my husband was living, we used to come here to visit, and I always liked the area. My husband did too. If he had to live, probably we both would have moved here. So after my husband passed, I stayed back east, and after I sold my property, then I decided I think I'd move to Ypsilanti.
Okay.
And that's how I happened to come to.
Well, we're glad you came.
Came to Ypsilanti.
What was your community involvement?
You mean locally here? Yeah. Well, locally here, I got involved in. First one was Bayer Hospital. And I was up there for 20 years, a volunteer, and I was the only African-American person that became president of the auxiliary of Bayer Hospital Auxiliary, and I probably would still be going there if Bayer Hospital hadn't closed.
Yeah.
And then from that, I'd meet different people, and, "Oh, Dorothy, you'd be good for that. Why don't you join the Ypsilanti Historical Museum?" I joined that. From that, somebody would encourage me. I went into the Church Women United with Mrs. Laura Henry. She took me to one meeting, and that was it. And I just continued to go, and that was at the First United Methodist Church, which they still meet there on Washington Avenue. And then I got involved in the thrift shop, and so now I'm a life member with the thrift shop. And then through Miss Edessa Williams, who got me involved in the usher board at Brown Chapel, and found out that I was involved with the Eastern Stars. And I had one of the members, Mrs. Foley, had to change my sash because it was different from the New York sash.
Okay.
Remember when I brought you this?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So then I joined Ruth's chapter, so I was a past matron of Ruth's chapter number 2. And then in the church, I worked in the senior usher board. I worked in the Willing Workers years ago with Mrs. Ethel Neely. Remember meeting at her house? And Miss Grace Carter, Miss Viola Carter. and meeting at their home, Mrs. Cheeks and Mr. James Wilson, all them old timers, you know. And then through Church Women United too, I was connected with Brown Chapel.
Okay.
And that was in the Missionary Society with Mrs. Laura Henry.
Okay.
And so that's how I got involved in work. Then when they started the Silver Club here at Brown Chapel, I said, oh, that's wonderful. They only started, the first time they started was only on a Monday. And then they decided also Wednesday, so I signed up with that. And if my health or my legs hadn't give out, I probably would still be with them.
You were a child.
Oh, life was much, matter of fact, we weren't wealthy, but we had a good life. You know, was happy, playful, and a lot of fun. And although my mother passed very early, and I never remember my mother, and my father remarried, and so I had a stepmother, Aunt Jenny, and I often wish she was still living today, and you know, yeah. So I had a very good childhood. I still remember where I used to play, 212 South
right?
Terrace Avenue, Mount Vernon, New York.
Oh my goodness, that's wonderful.
I went to school in Mount Vernon, New York, and the New Rochelle, which is the next town, same as like Ann Arbor and Ypsilanti. And I went through elementary school and through high school. I didn't go to college. And then I always was interested in hospitals. You know, it seemed to intrigue me. And so New York State Department of Civil Service was given a test, civil service test for anyone that was interested in becoming an LPN, a licensed practical nurse, you know, if you had a high school education. So I signed up for that.
Okay.
And I took the course and I passed and received the license. So, and then I was hired by the Department of Civil Service through mental hygiene. So I worked for the state of New York Department of Civil Service for 20 years.
Whoa,
So that's where I retired from.
That's wonderful.
So I'm a New York State retiree.
Okay.
Pramila Weidman, yep. 30 years young.
30 years young?
McDonald's wasn't there then. Well, children didn't have automobiles.
So how did you get around?
I walked from Prospect Street up to high school, and also when I went to summer school, I walked up to the college.
What did you do after high school?
I went to Clary College, and then later got a job working in Ann Arbor, a secretary.
Secretary. How long did you work?
Oh, probably a year. And then I got married.
And how long were you married?
Oh, I can't remember, no.
And children, I know you have a son.
Yeah, and a daughter.
Okay. You have grandchildren?
Yes. I have 8. Let's see, I have 2 children, 8 grandchildren, and 13 great-grandchildren.
What kind of advice would you give them?
Be honest.
Be honest. That's excellent advice. Anything else?
Enjoy what you're doing.
I'll be looking at the moon, but I'll be seeing you. I can't quite get up there. Okay, what am I doing here? What do I do for fun? Yeah. At my age,
Well, when were you when you were younger?
oh, I used to participate in sports. Basketball, baseball, football when I was in high school and college. Golf after I got married and worked and played golf. And I also played softball, large ball golf softball. What else? That's about it. I love to dance too. I love women.
What kind of music was it? Did you listen to?
What?
What kind of music did you listen to?
Modern music, singing. You heard me sing a song there just a few minutes
Who's your
ago.
favorite singer?
Oh, Lord. Frank Sinatra, Perry Como. I'm trying to think of a bass. My memory's not like it should be. I can't remember all of those. And I like to sing. I have fun. I sang in choir at church and in school and in light opera in junior college. And well, that's just about it.
Can you?
I was a baritone.
Could you sing your favorite Frank Sinatra song?
Could I do what?
Sing your favorite Frank Sinatra song.
Oh, golly. I'll be seeing you in all the old familiar places that this heart of mine embraces all day through. I'll see you in the morning sun, and when the day is through, I'll be looking at the moon, but I'll be seeing you. Oh, that's flat.
I'm done pretty good
Doing
today.
pretty good today?
If I could change,
One thing.
yeah. Well, I think I work in children department, through school, because they don't have enough teachers.
You're right.
Because when I went to school, I was in a 7-story building. And you start in the first grade kindergarten, and you go to the last grade there. But here, you get a certain amount of time in, you move over to college. But in Chicago, we go to school till we finish, graduate. We call it 12th grade.
Yes.
Then you'll be looking for a job.
Did you have an opportunity to go to college?
Have a,
Opportunity to go to college? To attend?
I didn't have time.
Okay.
No,
Okay.
I had to
Let's go to
work.
work.
I had to work at that age.
Okay.
I worked at hospital for
Did you
years.
graduate from high school?
Yeah,
And did
I graduated in Chicago.
Okay. And what kind of a job did you get when you after you graduated from high school?
I worked in manufacturing,
Okay.
building airplanes.
Right. And where was that?
When was
Where?
that? Oh, I started to work when I was,
Where was it?
when I was,
Was that in Chicago?
I started to work young. second job is being an altar boy in Chicago. Oh, I worked in an airplane. They built the engine complete. I worked 50-some years.
No, you didn't work over 50.
I was Baptist.
You were Baptist.
Yeah, and I went to Beulah Baptist Church in Muskegon.
Muskegon.
Yeah,
Did you sing in the choir?
no. That's another job. No, I didn't sing. They had a program for senior citizens. I've been a senior citizen all my life. One thing about it, then we were kind of compelled to work in shops. So I choose Continental Motor. They built airplanes. That's all they did, build airplanes. So they need a lot of people that were during World War II. And they needed the small plane.
And what did you do for fun, to have fun? What was?
What did I do? Well, you just didn't do the job. You do what the boss tell you to do. Maybe you on a job all the time you work there. And sometimes you didn't have no job in there. They farm you out to somebody else. So a lot of women worked in there though during World War II.
Did you work all of the time? Did you ever do anything for recreation, for fun?
Well, not much. You didn't have time. You worked and get some sleep because they had a plant built there. And you work around the clock with 3 shifts. And I mostly stayed on the first shift until they start, until the war was over. They started releasing the soldiers that they farmed out in the war. And they was fighting Japan and everywhere. I don't remember too much no more.
You remember quite a bit.
I'm almost 100 years old.
Yeah, well, that's a good thing.
Yeah, I don't know. I like the younger age, but do what you want, go when you want.
When you want to.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so very much for coming.
Oh, you're perfect welcome. Do you have a family?
Yes, ma'am, I do.
Yeah.
I'm the mother of 5 sons.
Oh, sons. Who helped you?
The magic one.
Who helped you with them?
Well, basically, since my youngest one was 3 months old, I raised them by myself with the
Yeah,
help of God.
yeah.
I worked hard too.
Oh, yeah. I know that's a hard job. See, I didn't have but 2 children. My daughter and my son.
I was born in Gloucester, in Mississippi, Gloster.
Oh.
And I moved to Lake Charles, Louisiana, when I was approximately 2 years old, 3 years old. Went to First Ward grade school, into high school, Lake Charles High. I went to college for a year and a half, maybe.
Okay. What college? What was the name of the college that you attended? The college, the name of it?
Southwest Louisiana Institute. And then to Louisiana State University. I enjoyed growing up. I had lots of fun. I did a lot of swimming.
Oh.
And I seemed to stay busy. Well, there's all the difference in the world in my life. I was born and grew up in the South.
Okay.
And I'm up here, I came up here and I didn't know a soul other than my son and daughter-in-law. And it's completely different from what I was accustomed to. The weather, the way of life.
Oh, where were you born?
In Moundville, Alabama.
Okay, and what year, if you can recall, did you come to Ypsilanti?
It must have been when I was about 5 or 6 years old. How was life different? It's just it was a different world, because when I was a child, we come up in home's atmosphere. We came up with they're talking about villages. We came up with people around us, and we were taught from the inception that the Lord is your shepherd, and blessed are children. We were taught in the atmosphere which I came up with. One of the first things I remember as going to church was our revivals. And at that time it was the Brown Chapel and the Second Baptist. And the reason I'm in trouble today is because the Brown Chapel had a lady preacher.
Okay.
And I never will forget that she used to come, and we didn't have no trouble out of us getting to that church, because and then not only that, we were taught to obey our elders, no back talk and things like that. My father was our liberator. My grandfather worked for Mr. Howard,
Okay.
shares, and my grandfather liberated us. I know y'all not want to get into all of this, because what happened with us was when my father and mother were married that year, it's documented that they were sharecropping.
Oh, okay.
And if you got 4 bales of cotton, that would take care of everything.
Oh, okay.
And then at the end of the year, when they went to settle up, the Lord was good to Daddy and Mama. They had 5 barrels.
Okay.
And Mr. Howard told him, boy, you done good, that'll take care here, but that 5th one we're going to do, and that's when my papa dropped down. I guess that's where I get my mess, where I am. And he said, what do you mean? He told him, now I'm going to take that, and then you won't have to worry. Daddy told him, you ain't going to take, you're going to pay me? And he said, well, you still owe me. Okay. And they said what you mean you still owe me? He said, you got that corn for your grits. Tell me my daddy dapped that up. I won't go into all. That's how we were liberated.
Oh, okay. And so your dad and mom decided to move away?
My daddy decided.
Okay. And you came to Ypsilanti?
Well, yes, and we had an uncle here on my mother's side by the name of I think about how it was at that time and then Daddy would always sit down with us boys and tell us that we should always try to have a job, take care of our responsibilities, and this sort of thing. And then we had to stand up, I never will forget, for the Greenwiches. At that time, they were from Canada, and they didn't like it because they were light color, and I never will forget Beulah. And y'all used to try to beat her, but I wouldn't dare. I can remember standing up for her and things like that.
What did you used to do for fun?
I used to box. I was a boxer. And fishing, I'm going to tell you that now. Channel 47.
What can you offer the community in relationship to our young people today?
What can
you offer?
I offer them the opportunity to I offer them an opportunity to make their way to know Christ. What we do, the healing of races and discrimination. Yes. What we need to do is to realize that we are a chosen individual. And let me put it this way. At Metropolitan, during my years before a few years ago when I backed off, I'm restarting. I used to ride the horses because they would call my young people niggers.
Okay.
And so I go there and I talk to them. What we need to do is what we're doing today. The people that God has advanced, have been advanced not only in educational, spiritually, need to take time with us who have not been as fortunate and let them know that we can reach. And what y'all doing now.
Okay.
Let's see, like a lot of you, honey, is telling you, when thou says, seek ye my face, my heart said unto thee, thy face, Lord, will I seek. Because thou desire truth, and in the inward part, and in the hidden part, thou shalt make me as an individual to know wisdom.
Well, we appreciate you, Pastor Robinson.
Oh,
and
no,
we appreciate
so.
you giving an interview to us.
No, I appreciate for the privilege to live long enough. See, I can remember the first black graduate we had. Her name was Bessie Jones.
Okay, from Ypsi High?
Yes.
Okay.
And I can remember how it is that if we try to do anything, and most teachers weren't like some of the teachers that I know. But for you all to do this, and one of the things that bothers me most of all, and I'll leave you alone, in my work, it had always bothered me.
Okay.
When I'm in the courts, public defenders, and they always were Caucasians. When in my jobs and things, always Caucasians. Because the thing is, people don't realize, for some reason, we don't take the time to make sure that our children and things see us as we are. Like at my church, they know better than coming there with their head crocheted, their pants down to their knees, and things of that sort. But this is an opportunity that our people may know. Now, I have no reason to be illiterate when it comes to computer knowledge, because my wife tried to teach me and I was so busy. But this is something, and it's one thing you got to realize, though. What you do, you can't feel bad about how people feel about you, because see, a lot of them don't appreciate, and we need to get out of our mind the jealousy that we know more than a noun is a name of a place, person, or thing.
Okay.
We get up there, blah, 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 got to have that, that's all right. You got to be born, got to have it, that's all right. But the point is, you as an individual have to have an experience with God yourself.
Amen.
And you really got to let him use you. They say, I can use that self. Yeah, you can use that self, but you can't use his God in him. And what y'all are doing, excuse me, you made my day.
Well, thank you.
Let me live long enough to see our people.
That's right.
Willing to sacrifice. I try to do what I can. Most people don't. I look at them, I get in trouble all the time. But I'd like to say to both of you, my last words to you all are to learn to have your own experience with God.
Oh yes, I had a wonderful, wonderful childhood. And we lived right down on Washington Street. And it was a beautiful place to bring up children. Excuse my silence. Excuse me. And I still have a lot of very good friends that I cherish, because we've gone back for so, when you've lived that long in the same place, and you just don't take life for granted. Live life, just every minute.
Live life every minute.
Yeah, it's precious. Precious.
My mom and dad brother used to have a farm. He had a big farm, cotton, corn, everything. He had a farm.
Okay.
And I mean a farm.
Did you work in the fields?
Huh?
Did you
Oh, yeah, I
work
worked in the field.
You did?
No, I didn't have no expensive games. All we used to play was checkers and dominoes.
Okay. You still play?
No, I don't have nobody to play with.
Oh.
But I used to play. We used to play though.
Okay.
Used to go up under the house. Mom and them didn't like it, play no games too much.
Okay. Were church going people?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. All right.
Sure.
What was school like?
Oh, well, it was really good. Your teachers, you know how your teachers did you.
Okay.
I mind pretty good.
You did.
Mm-hmm.
You were a good student.
I was, yes.
All right. And so what did you do when you finished your education in Utah, Alabama?
No, I didn't do anything. I always went out my specialized in cooking.
Oh, okay. So what do you cook?
I cook most anything.
What's your favorite dish?
My favorite dish, German chocolate cake.
Oh, wow.
And peach cobbler.
Oh, you like to bake the desserts, huh?
Oh, yeah, I used to cook now.
All right.
That was my specialty.
The German chocolate cakes and the peach cobbler.
My specialty was cooking.
Have you made any in a while?
No, I ain't made no cake now in a long time. Depression was pretty rough with some people, and pretty rough with me, but I never mostly had no bad time. Most older people when I was coming up, that was under me, they liked me. Because I had patience with them. I always tell them, do unto others.
So let me ask you this. Why do you think you lived so long?
I don't know. Well, I say let the life I live speak for me. I try to be nice to people, and I always used to help older peoples and everything. That was my life.
That's a blessing. That was your ministry then.
Yeah, I did that.
Wonderful. So helping others and being nice to others.
They say, here comes little Missy. That's what they used to call me.
Oh, you miss
Little Missy, yeah, I
little
miss.
Missy?
I miss.
Were you bossy?
Well, pretty good, they say.
So you know how to
That's what they say.
you knew how to take control, huh?
Yeah, I took them all, had all kids, most under control with me. I didn't never have much problem with kids.
How many kids did you have?
I ain't had but this one.
Just one.
But I used to work with a lot of children.
Okay.
Oh yeah, I had them do unto others as you would wish for them to do unto you.
Amen.
You do good to other people. Some of your goodness will come back to you. A lot of things. But this man said, I thank the Lord to be here.
Now, what do you attribute to your long life? Some things.
The love of God.
All right, love of God.
And then my mom lived till she was 90.
Oh.
And my grandmom lived 93. And one of my uncles was 102.
Oh, really? So longevity runs in your family?
Yes. And I had several uncles that was 90 and past.
Oh, okay. That is wonderful.
That was on go out at night and stay till. She used to say midnight.
Yes.
That sounded bad, midnight. If she said 12 o'clock, that was fine. But if she said midnight, ooh, that was
That was late, huh?
that was really late.
Okay.
And we had to ask to go out anywhere. After 8 o'clock, we couldn't go.
Okay.
That was too late.
Okay.
Especially if you had a boyfriend, you was going out with him, you couldn't go after 8 o'clock.
Oh, okay. Well, that was nice that you were able to go, you know.
And then you had to.
You had to ask both parents. Okay.
As a child, I've done so many different things. And as a grown-up, I've done quite a few things, too. As a child, I went to school, and I went to church, and we lived on a small farm. And my father was a minister, and I sang in the choir.
Okay.
Went to Sunday school every Sunday.
Okay.
They always sent me to the convention as a Sunday school delegate, which I loved.
Okay.
And we had a program they called the singing convention.
Okay.
So I was always delegate to the singing convention,
Well,
and that
tell
was
me
great.
about that.
Oh, it was beautiful. It was called a union singing convention, not just a Baptist singing convention. And in order to be a delegate, you had to be able to get up before the audience and lead a song for the whole congregation to sing.
Oh, really? What kind of song did you lead?
Well, whatever we use books,
Okay.
whatever we rehearsed before we went down to the convention.
What was your favorite?
Well, I have so many favorites
Well,
back
name
then.
one, because I want you to sing it a little bit.
Oh no, you don't, cause I can't sing.
Yes, I do. I'll help you.
Not now, well, I can't think of the songs that was in the books that we used, but because it's been so long.
Okay.
Anyway, well, we always call them spirituals.
Okay.
My favorite spiritual is see there, I can't think.
Precious Lord?
One is Precious Lord, and then one is I Feel Like Traveling On. Well, you have to trust in the Lord. That's for one thing you have to do.
Yeah.
And you got to try to live a clean life as much as possible.
Okay.
No smoking, no drinking, and stuff like that.
Well, I didn't really have a job.
3
I
kids.
just sort of helped everybody around, and it wasn't too much of a job.
You did teach, though.
I did teach, yes.
Do you want to tell them about how you had to elope because women weren't allowed to be married and teach? That's a good story. About you and Joe, you couldn't tell people you were married.
My husband and I were married secretly, and we couldn't tell anybody because he was older than I was, and he shouldn't have married me, I guess. I taught mostly in junior high.
Did you have any community involvement when you were younger?
Did I? What kind of involvement? I don't hear very well.
Yes, you volunteered at the thrift shop,
Oh, yes.
and you did some.
I did volunteer work
Yes.
wherever anybody wanted me.
Yeah.
That's about it.
Did you have any children?
3,
Are they all girls or all boys? Or
all boys.
Do you have any grandchildren?
How many?
2.
2?
What do you think helped you live such a long, filled life?
I wish I knew. I wish I knew. No, I just never got sick.
What was your spiritual upbringing?
Methodist, wasn't it?
So do you have any words of wisdom for young people of America today?
Jeepers. I lived in Iron Mountain and was raised there, and it wasn't a very big area, centralized. But there were a lot of homes and people around. But mostly I was in the center of it. I like to do so many things that growing up, they changed, but I had a good life.
The ways to just stay out of the streets and don't use drugs. That's about the only thing I could think of. That's pretty good.
Yeah, it is.
Don't use drugs, because I've lost a lot of relatives on drugs. My name is Magnolia Broom. Well, I worked at the University Hospital for 40 years here in Michigan. Yeah. Because I only stayed in Buffalo, New York about a little over 2 years.
What are some of the things that you did for fun?
Swimming. I love to swim.
Love to swim.
Yeah. But I used to like to dive, but I wouldn't even try it now. I can swim, but I can't drink all that water. I used to go swimming in the morning before I go to the hospital. They had a pool over near the hospital. I'd go over there and swim 3 times a week and just go in and swim. And when I come out, just roll my hair up and get under the dryer and go on to work. I can't think of anything else other than just working at that hospital. I love that when I was working there.
What was your job at the hospital?
I worked in the patient equipment. We would take equipment to the patients when they needed them, and when they finished with them, we would sterilize them and store them for the next person they call. And my worst department was the burn unit.
Yeah. That's Yeah, that's a very serious unit. Did you know someone that was in the burn unit?
I worked with one of the ladies, but you see, when you work in the burn unit, you have to do the suctioning. So I had to stand by them if they have to. If something go wrong, I could get another one and hook it up. One of the doctors looked like he gave me a medal, like for being not laughing. You know, so he says so many of them could go in and look at the patients and cry. I mean, laugh. But I just stayed crying all the time because it was so sad.
Yes. You sound like a real caring person, and that's what it takes to work in a hospital.
Yeah.
So do you do anything for fun now?
No, just go to. I like to go to church. It's not fun, but it's just
It's enjoyable.
it's enjoyable.
I know it's hard to give up a car once you've started.
It sure is.
Right.
You always have to go someplace, and every time you go, you gotta pay like $10. Unless you come to church, they pick me up and take me to church.
That's good.
But that's the only thing I like to do. I go to church Bible study, and every time they go on trips to other churches visiting, I'm hopping on the bus.
Were you going to say something else?
I was just going to say my sister in the convent told me if we have a bus, she said if it was left up to me, that we'd have an airplane sitting out there instead of a bus and pilot waiting. Because that's how well I like to go to my church.
That's a good idea.
There was enough of us to have our own fun.
We had to make our own fun. But when I was a teenager, I used to go roller skating. They used to have a portable roller rink down there in Depot Town. They moved it there every winter. And then I used to walk down there every night and go roller skating.
You said it was portable?
Yeah.
So
I used to roller skate too.
You did? So what other kinds of things did you all do for fun?
Well, really?
I learned to ice skate after we moved here. I moved to Ypsilanti.
Let's see, she went to Roosevelt too.
A little bit.
Well, it was kind of rough. It was during the Depression. And our father worked at Ford's, won the $5 a day. Of course, this was way before your time.
Worked at Ford for $5 a day?
That's what they worked at $5 a day.
And 4 kids.
And for 5. Oh, no.
Yeah, no, we didn't have Gene yet. Our dad went to he started at the Ford Motor Company, I guess, when I was a kid in kindergarten or first grade. Went to a country school. They didn't know what kindergarten was. So it was just first grade, but you were doing kindergarten.
You went to Canton first. Canton Country School.
Yeah, I was trying to think how many. There was less than 20.
Okay.
Sometimes there were probably only 15 to, or maybe even less. All the time. It just depended on how many people moved into the neighborhood.
Okay.
So I went there through 8th grade. I had to go to Wayne to take examination to be able to pass into high school.
Okay.
We moved from Canton to Sheldon. Sheldon is between Denton and Wayne. And that's the first school I ever went to, and it's still there.
Okay.
And then I come into Roosevelt when I was in the 8th grade. And then the folks decided to move into Ypsi. And so we moved into Ypsilanti in 1932.
I was born September the 5th, 1918, to Lorraine Cisco Easley. I was raised by my grandmother, Sally Folks, and George Folks. I went to Reeves High School in Reeves, Tennessee. I came to Ypsilanti when I was 19 years old, and I had 2 children, Shirley William and Edward William. My husband got a job here at Central Specialty, and I came here, and I have been here in Ypsilanti ever since. The thing that I really enjoyed about it, I met a lot of elderly people. And when I came to Ypsilanti, I didn't have any family here. My husband had his family, so I didn't have any family here. So I was a young lady. But I met a lot of friends. I met a lot of older, elderly people, and they were very, very good to me. My life, I experienced a lot. When I came to Ypsi, I had never been away from home, and I had 2 babies. They were both small, and but one thing about it, I met such nice people, the elderly people. Mother Gray, Mrs. Uncle Ernest's wife, Aunt Eileen, Miss another lady, Miss Rogers, and Miss Clarence Orange's wife, Miss Owens, and all those women just took me just under their wings, you know, and Mother Gray, and brought things for my kids and, you know, and helped me, and I'll never forget that. So I had a beautiful experience. But here in Ypsilanti, my husband was young and I was young. I was only 16. Yeah, I was only 16. He was young too. So he kind of got, you know, with the crowd. But I just always stayed in the church. And I always tried to do what was right. First Brotherhood banquet, I was the hostess at the first Brotherhood banquet. Reverend Smith, we had the first banquet in our church down on the old church. And it kept growing and growing and got bigger, and we had to go different places. But I was the first hostess of that banquet. And downtown, there was a Clark store downtown, and they had clothes there. And the man, a black person, could not try on clothes in his store. You could buy them, but you couldn't try them on.
About what year was this? What decade?
This was about 38 or 39.
You think things have changed since then?
Oh yeah, they have changed very much. And then they had a store, Sally Shear, and Dixie Shop, and you could buy clothes there, but you could try on your clothes. But this Clark shop, he was a big fat white man, and no black person could try on. So it was very prejudiced. But it has changed a lot.
Would you say for the better or for the worse?
For the better.
For the better.
One thing back then, nothing like crack and drugs and things like that. We didn't have that. And I think now it has just gone, it's just terrible for the young people, you know, because so many young people are on drugs. And it's just, and back in then, we didn't have no drugs. We didn't know anything about drugs when I came. We get out of church, we had one place to go, to the train station, and look at the trains, and that was our recreation. we didn't have the things like kids do now. And going to school, we didn't have any buses to catch. We had to walk to school. And I remember some of my friends, they lived, what I call they lived way out in the country. And I'd always ask my grandmother to let me go out there and stay all night with them so I could walk to school, because I was a little closer than But we didn't have cars, horse and buggy and wagons. I had a good life, though. I had a close family. My family, they about all gone now, but we were always taught to be very close. My grandmother always told us to love each other. So that has been my theme. And I guess when I'm gone, I don't know, I guess it'll fall apart. Because I think it will, I don't know, because the younger people are not, they're not really what it's about. Well, I would offer the young people do have a very good life if they would just listen a little more to us elderly people, But I don't know, young people now have so many things to distract them. It's very hard for young people now, because when I was coming up, we didn't have that. We didn't have nothing like that. We had restaurants, but no young people could go in a restaurant. The adults could help the kids more, and be more interested in the kids, because it's really tough out there now. Like I say, we didn't have that when I was coming along. But, and if a grown person, when I was coming along, if they seen us doing something that wasn't right, they would tell our parents. And you better not say you didn't do it. No, you better not dispute them. But now it's so different, because I don't know, it seems like people don't want to believe what you tell them about the kids. And you got to listen, because nobody's gonna mistreat you. Nobody's gonna mistreat kids. But when somebody tells you something about your kids, you got to listen. I remember one thing I remember when I was young, I used to, I had an aunt that lived next door to the church, and it was an old lady that belonged to our church named Harriet, Edith Mayberry's grandmother. And when a kid would get unruly in church, and Harriet would say, "Get that young'un out of here. Take that young'un over to Minnie Cisco's and give us some bread." But now you just can't tell people anything about the kids, because they don't believe it. Some of them don't, but then, and you better not say you didn't do it. I know once I skipped school, me and some girls skipped school, and a lady seen us, and Kate, she seen us, she said, I'm going to tell y'all's parents." She did. We better not say we didn't do it, because we did. And then we got corrected, I never got my grandmother wasn't a whooper. She never whooped me too much. She never did, but she would talk to me. And that really meant a lot. And then we had to sit down at the table and eat. We couldn't take our plate and put it on a tray. We had to eat what was fixed for us. But now kids, I tell you, they don't want this, they don't want that. But then we had to eat it, and we all ate together. And on Sundays, we always had, my grandmother always cooked a lot of food. We always had company.
For fun? Oh, that's a good one. Well, I guess I'd have to say playing in the sand in the ditch. I was also involved with music. I had a good friend that taught me how to play the piano. And I taught piano also.
Cool.
Privately.
Most of them, I have one student that I got a letter from just last week. He plays in some cathedral down in Florida, and he's a pianist and organist both, and directs choirs. He really went on with this music, but he's the only one. The others that I know of, just for their own amusement, you know.
How was life when I was a child? Well, we lived on a farm, and we used to have lots of fun. We had a sandbox to play in that was in the ditch in front of our house, and it was nice white sand. And we kids used to play in that all the time, and you'd have thought we had the best sandbox in town. It was just a ditch bank.
Tell me about your education.
Well, I went to high school. Then Henry Ford came out with a very special school called School of Home Arts. And I was chosen to go to that through my principal, my school. And that proved to be very helpful. I was at Henry Ford Hospital. I learned how to do a lot of things.
What kind of job did you have?
Well, I used to work for a dentist. I was just his kind of private secretary. I didn't work on the patients at all, except to give them their appointments, take their cash when they got through with their appointment, and made change, etc. Tell you about what?
Church.
Oh, well, I go to the Methodist church. And one thing different about me is that I married a man who was Catholic. So I had to promise that my children would be raised Catholic. And of course I wanted to be married so bad I said, promise anything, you know. And so they were raised Catholic. However, now that they are adults, they are not Catholic. They each went their own way, and that's the way we wanted it. They were free to go to the kind of church they wanted to. And that's the way it's worked out.
To what did you attribute to your long life?
I think probably I'd answer that by saying my parents was what influenced me the most of anything. They were good people. Well, just hang in there and don't be afraid of work. My favorite what?
Bible verse.
In the Bible?
Oh. So loved the world that he gave his only begotten Son, that we should not perish, but have everlasting life. Don't ask me which verse where it's from. I just know that's it,
I know.
or close to it.
Precious Lord, take my hand, lead me on, let me stand
I am tired, I am weak, I am worn. Through the storm, through the night, lead me home to the light. Take my hand, precious Lord, and lead me on. If I turn 100,
Praise the Lord.
and right now, 105 months, 3 months. My mother died after I was a baby. I didn't know my mother. I had a stepmother, but she raised me just like I was her own.
That's a blessing. Yeah.
She done that my father put me, which I like that.
Okay. But you were a good girl.
And that, oh no, my father was a Baptist preacher.
Oh, you were a preacher's kid.
Yeah.
What was that like growing up as a preacher's kid?
Huh?
What was it like growing up as a preacher's kid?
Well, they say the preacher deep got worse kids of all.
That's what they say. What do you say?
Well, we wasn't.
You were good kids. That's good.
And I'm a family of 12 children. I was the youngest of the 12. The youngest.
You were the youngest?
Only one survived.
Of the 12.
Very much different.
Tell us about that.
Well, people brought the kids up right. Nowadays, the kids beat the mothers. It's really different. They don't respect their own parents. But we had to. We had to. We had to go to church every Sunday, be right PU, everything.
What did you do for fun?
Post office kissing.
They played that? Was that your favorite game? Was that your favorite one?
Well, I don't know. Well, you know, I was baptized when I was 6 years old by my father. But you know, you got to grow in grace. What did I know? But you know, song came to me. I cried a minute. Lord, I know I've been changed. I know I've been changed.
I love that song.
The angels helped me sign my name. Lord, I know I've been changed. Oh Lord, I know I've been changed. Oh Lord, I know I've been changed. Angels in the heaven done sign my name. One day, I was walking along. Angels in the heaven done sign my name. Elements open and the love came down. Angels in the heaven done sign my name. Oh Lord, I know I've been changed. Oh Lord, I know I've been changed. Oh Lord, I know I've been changed. Angels in the heaven done sign my name. I came out of beauty school in 1958.
Oh, okay.
Mm-hmm.
So you did hair?
Mm-hmm.
How long did you do hair?
Not too long. I'd rather cook.
Okay. So you're a good cook?
The best.
You cook just as good as you smell?
I'm the best.
You the best?
I'm the best.
All right. What's
Every
your...
place I cook at, don't get nobody to fill my place. On my way, grow clear, precious Lord, linger near. When my life is almost gone, hear my cry, hear my call. Hold my hand, lest I fall. Take my hand, precious Lord, and lead me home.
Age, all right.
You are?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, about...
Just me and my daughter, so I'm up there.
Okay.
I forgot myself. I stopped counting.
Okay.
I don't feel old. I know I'm an old lady, but I don't feel old.
You don't feel old. Were you...
Just me and my daughter. My husband passed, so I'm just taking care of my daughter.
Tell us about how
how it was when you were growing up back in the early 1900s.
Well, it was nice, everything. My father owned a farm. My mother passed when I was young, so my older sister and my father took care of us.
Oh, he did?
I got married at an early age.
Did you? How old were you when you got married?
I wasn't quite old enough. They say you had to be 18 when you got married, but I wasn't quite 18.
You weren't?
But it was a man that had been, he was a good bit older than me. But he chose me. He had a lot of girls, so he chose me. I was a lot younger than him. In Alabama, I was from the city of Selma, Alabama.
Oh, okay, okay.
So this man come there. He had lived there, his family had lived there, but he had moved to the city, and he knew my father had a lot of girls, and he come back there looking for him a wife.
Oh, okay.
And he chose me. He was a good bit older than me, but they let me marry him because he knew my parents.
Okay.
And he had lived there, and he come back there looking for my wife. He said he didn't like the country, the city girls. And he knew my father had a lot of girls. He come back and choose the wife. I was a good bit younger than him. But I didn't know how to cook or nothing, but I got me a cookbook, and I learned how to cook, and I learned how to keep house.
Okay.
So my husband said he was glad
Is the world different today than it was when you were back there in Selma, Alabama?
I don't see any different myself. I always had such a good life. I grew up on a farm when I was growing up, and all I had to do was help take the cows to the pasture or something like that, and I never had to work. He never worked on a job. I got married at an early age, so I said all I ever did was keep house. Yeah, I went to church when I was growing up. My father always took us to Sunday school and church every Sunday.
Do you remember the name of the church?
Mount Hermon Baptist Church. I was a Baptist church. I wasn't a Methodist.
Okay. And what's your favorite Bible verse?
God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten Son. Whoso believeth in him should not perish but have everlasting life.
Praise the Lord.
So I think I'm going to have it. I made it this far.
Well, we had wood stove, actually. Wood stove and coal stove. This is down in Missouri in a rural area, and we didn't know anything about gas.
Oh, okay. What part of Missouri?
North Central Missouri.
North Central. What was the city?
Our county seat was Carrollton, Missouri, in Carroll County. Oh, for fun.
Yes, sir.
Well, at school we played games when it was recess or before school took up. You know, we played all sorts of games. In the summertime we'd play a game called, I can't think of the name of the game. We had a circle, and we would go around the circle, and we'd try to catch somebody on the other side, something like that. And we'd in the summer, when the weather was better, we'd play baseball on the church, on the school ground.
Oh, okay. So did you have a lot of friends?
A lot of friends. Well, not too many, because we were a mile from town, and we didn't, unless it was a school, I didn't associate too much. I had a few good friends, but not very many. Well, where I lived, we could raise a lot. We had big gardens, and we could raise a lot of our own food.
Okay.
And try to maximize the food that you could raise and minimize the food you had to buy at the store, because money was pretty tight all the way around.
That's true. Okay, thank you. Did you graduate from college?
In 1936.
In 1936. That was wonderful. What was your field of study?
I was in science and mathematics.
Oh, okay.
I took chemistry and physics and math, calculus. And
when do you remember having your first TV?
Well, it was in 1947. I actually put together a kit. I put together the parts. It was all the parts came in a great big box, and I was living here in Michigan at the time, and I put the parts together. the soldering iron and all that.
Where did you order the TV parts from?
Well, let's see, there was an advertisement, I believe, in the newspaper.
In the newspaper?
Yes.
Okay. So it had all of the parts to make the TV?
Yes.
Oh.
The picture they had the picture tube came in two sizes, a small 6-inch diameter picture tube and a 10-inch picture tube, and I got the 10-inch one.
Did you? And it worked?
It did.
Okay, and that was in 1947.
Concentrate on getting along with other people.
Okay.
Admiring other people and loving other people as much as you can, and studying hard to learn things and try to improve yourself and get along with other people.
When I'm in the store and somebody mention how old I am, they'll stop doing what they is doing and come and say, I can't believe you that old. I say, I am. It don't look like it to me.
So you agree?
Well, my mother died when I was turning 6. She died in October, when I was turning 6. And my dad married a second wife.
Okay.
And I always did, after I grew up, I told her, you married another good child, because she wasn't but 5 years older than my oldest brother. Well, if my mother had 6 children. She had 2 boys and 4 girls. And my second mother had 6. 2 girls and 4 boys.
First of all, are you a minister or an evangelist?
No, I'm not.
You just love the Lord.
I just love Him.
I can tell you love His word.
I know what He has done for me. And I know I look back over my life, I really wouldn't go over that no more. I wouldn't want to. Because I've grown in the Lord. I don't go to bed. I don't care where I go and how late I stay at night. There's so many chapters in that Bible I read before I go to bed.
Praise God.
And if I go shopping and the clerks and things find out how old it is, they say, tell me your secret. I say, I don't know no secret but to trust in the Lord, because He's been good to me. I don't know about you, but He has been good to me. Yeah. Amen. My mama died when I was turning 6. And I tell anybody, my daddy, that was her request. My daddy was her request. If something happened to her, because they said I know she was sickly. I don't know what condition she was in, but growing up kids didn't sit around grown folk. When they come in, if you in there with them, you'd have to leave. You had to go out. So I really didn't know the secret of health. But anyway, it was her request for my daddy to marry and not separate us. Because I was named for my grandma, and my grandma stayed with her most of the time, but she wanted my daddy to give me to her, but he wouldn't. That was her request, and he said he wasn't going to do it. She said, in Birmingham, it was a Tuggle Institute to take the home children and she told him to put us there if he didn't marry. So my daddy married in 3 months after my mama died.
Did he?
That
was she a relative?
Huh?
Was your second mother a relative? She was no relationship?
No relation.
Okay.
Mm-mm. And she raised us. And but he got sick. My dad got sick while he couldn't walk 5 years. We kept him at home.
Yeah.
We kept him at home. He didn't go in no hospital. I remember I could take him out of bed and put him in a chair just as good as 2 or 3 could.
What do you like to read besides the Word, besides the Bible?
Yeah, sir.
What else do you read?
When this boy bring me my paper, and ain't nothing in it, but I read every bit of that. I sure do. I just love to read. Well, I always did, because my grandmama and them, when I was in the school, I know my alphabet backwards and forwards. and I could count backwards and forwards.
So education is important too,
Yeah,
to
it
keeping a
is. It
good
really
mind,
important,
active mind.
And I left the 23rd Psalm when I was going to school. They took it out, but we had to recite a chapter in the Bible, pray, and sing before they opened the school. But they took it out. Yeah. Looking back over my life, we have came a long ways. Things have really improved. God are really blessed. And I tell them all the time, the Lord said He made everything good and very good. But what happened, we misused it. We took it and misused it. That's what happened to what's going on now. God, He give men knowledge enough to make these things and create these things. But we took it and misused it. And that's really what's wrong.
Yeah.
But I say all the time, since I grew up and went through these years, I said that's really children don't know no more. Cause a lot of time you learned it in school. Yeah, I did.
Lockport, New York.
Okay, Lockport.
Port, New York.
Is that near...
Buffalo. Not far from Buffalo.
Oh, okay.
Or Niagara Falls, around in there.
So how did you end up coming to Ypsilanti?
Well, first I came out here. My mother came to Ann Arbor when I was 7 years old. And I went
just you? Or
no,
did you have brothers and sisters?
I had no brothers or sisters.
Oh, you were an only child.
Yes, and I went back to live with my grandmother in Lockport. I didn't stay with my mother too much until I was 18.
Okay.
And then I came back to Michigan.
What year was that?
Oh, gee, I don't know.
But you were 18 when
I
you
was
came
18. I have to figure that out.
Okay, probably about 1932.
Yes, because my daughter was born in 1934.
Okay.
When I was 19, she was in 1934, so it was about 1933, probably.
What was the Ypsilanti area like?
I didn't come to Ypsilanti. I was in Ann Arbor for a while. But I've been in Ypsi for 61 years. There used to be a little school on Wall Street. Then I used to go to, it was called a Donovan School. And then I went to the school on Detroit Street in Ann Arbor. Can't remember the name of that school. It's been so long ago.
Let me just ask, because I'm interested in, was it integrated or?
Oh, yes, it was integrated. It was? Always, yes. Back in 1934, everything around here was integrated, but there was a lot of prejudice over there anyway, you know, still is. First, when I lived with my grandmother, I was a Methodist.
Oh.
And then when I moved to Ann Arbor, when I was 12, I was baptized a Baptist.
Oh, okay.
I became a Baptist.
Okay. Now, any favorite verse, Bible verse?
23rd Psalm.
Going back a little bit farther, although you were in Lockport until you were 18, what kind of games did you play?
In Lockport?
Yeah, as a child.
Oh, I was very athletic. I liked to, you know, high jumping and baseball and like that.
High jump and baseball in the community?
Yes, we'd have teams there, you know. I've never been south.
Oh, you haven't?
No, my husband was from Cuba, Alabama.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but I remember when his brother died, he had to go to Florida to bury him. No, I wanted to go. He said, that was way back. He said, I'm not taking you down there. He said, because I know you. He said, that's before segregation was worse than it is now.
Okay.
Yeah, he said, you're not going because I'm not kicking. He said, you got too much mouth, you'll be down. You end up like Emmett Till. Remember, Emmett Till got killed.
That's right.
Remember how they did him? No, he said, you're going to stay home. So I had to stay home. I laughed about that. Oh, I said, I'm going to get to go south. He said, you're not going south. Wisdom?
Yes, ma'am.
Just trust in the Lord. Be a good Christian. Help anyone that you can when they're down. Don't find fault with people. Try to build them up.
Well, he just celebrated his 100th birthday last Tuesday.
Wow, that's amazing.
He was born August 3rd, 1910 in Industry, Illinois. He came to Ypsilanti in 1946, and he and his wife joined the Methodist Church here. He's always been active in the choir. In fact, he did most of the Messiah solos. He was president of the trustees, and he was chairman of the fundraiser that put on the educational unit. And he taught Sunday school, was a Sunday school superintendent.
So he had a busy life, my goodness.
Yes.
And he flew a plane.
Yeah. And he has 3 children.
Mm-hmm.
They're
How
all
many grandchildren do you all have?
6.
6. Any great-grands?
Yes. He's a very loving and polite gentleman. Well, we had a Model T Ford. My mother never drove. So when I got to be 16, I got my driver's license, and she would send me to the grocery store. And I had a brother that was 14 years younger than I, so she always said, and take Frank with you.
So she knew you wouldn't get in any trouble, huh?
I guess.
So how many brothers and sisters did you have?
There were 6 of us in our family, and I was the oldest. Well, we went to a little country church, non-denominational, and my folks took us to Sunday school every Sunday. My father was quite religious. I don't remember too many things. Of course, we always had Bible study in the summer.
At your home?
No, at the church. Well, I've been a member of the Ypsilanti First Methodist Church since 1945.
Oh my goodness, that's a long time. Wow. That's amazing. Were you baptized there?
No, I was baptized in the Jordan River.
My goodness.
Yeah.
Tell us about that.
Well, Carol and I went on a trip with a former pastor and his wife of ours to Israel and the Holy Land. And he Reverend Callis, and he baptized us both in the Jordan River on that. Well, I guess we didn't know that we were having some hard times because we always had food on the farm. But afterwards, later on, you realize that my folks had a hard time. I remember one time my dad had to borrow $200 to pay the mortgage payment.
To what do you attribute your long life?
Eating regular.
Okay.
I love to eat.
Me too. And you eat right?
Right. The right foods.
Eat the right foods, yeah. Okay.
They say you are what you eat. And I had piano lessons.
Do you play now?
No.
No.
My fingers don't permit it.
Do you sing?
Yes.
Okay. What's your favorite song?
In the garden. He walks with me and he talks with me. He tells me we are his own. I don't have that good a voice anymore. And he talks with me, and he tells me I am his own.
And the joy
We share as we tarry there, none other has ever heard.
I come to Michigan in 1944.
Did you?
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
The
okay.
Hassan was in the service, and my mother and father lived in Ypsilanti.
Did they?
Uh-huh.
Oh,
And
okay.
when they first come, they lived in Mount Clemens, my mother and father, and then they moved to Ypsilanti, and my daddy bought a house,
Okay.
and he worked on construction in Ann Arbor.
Okay.
Mama didn't do nothing but raise her garden and her chickens
Did she?
and stuff like that. Oh, I worked on farm, that lived on a farm. I worked on a farm, with my daddy.
Okay. What kind of crops did he raise?
Tomatoes, cabbage, cucumbers,
So is that
watermelon.
Okay. So is that one of the reasons that you can can so well right now?
Yeah, my mama used to put up about 300 or 400 jars of fruit.
Wow. For a season?
Yeah, for winter. And then she would have dried apples. She was peeling apples in August and putting them up on a housetop on a sheet and letting them dry. We had dried apples and dried peaches. We had apple fried pies and peach fried pies.
Can you make any of that now?
Yeah.
You can?
Yeah, I make it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I make fried pies, and then I can make sweet potato fried pies too.
You can?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Oh, that sounds
I'm an old timer.
You are.
Now I done put my raspberry jelly up and grape jelly.
You did that this year?
Yeah.
Oh.
I got to take and cook my strawberry blackberries and get the juice out of there. I'm gonna make my blackberry jelly. I got to finish that.
Wow.
I make all of them. And when the grapes come in, the grapes that they come on the fence, you go and get it. I'm gonna make some of that jelly.
Well, do you sell it or do you give it away as gifts?
Give it to somebody and you sit there. What's to it? Hard work.
Hard work.
Work and never kill nobody.
That's true.
When I come out here, moved out here, I bought this myself.
Okay.
Done day work,
Yes.
5 days a week.
Okay.
Mary worked at the store, and that's how I got it. And the lady I worked for 42 years. She helped me pay for my house.
Did she?
Mm-hmm. And when I got it down to $1,013, my house note went to $342. That's the biggest house note I ever had.
Oh, really?
This is mine. I don't owe no tax, no nothing.
Well, that's wonderful, Miss Jones.
Yeah, I'm blessed. I am blessed. Yes, yes,
You
yes.
are blessed.
And I got them 3 old boys now. Yeah, I got them 3. 3 boys and 2 girls.
3 boys and 2 girls.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Now the girls is older than the boys. Yeah, they can live a better life now. Shoot.
What should we do to live as long as you have lived?
Hard work, if you would. So that's what I did.
And what else? What are some of the other things?
Hard work. That's all I worked.
You worked hard.
Yeah, I tell my grandkids, they tell me, y'all don't know work is. I worked all my life. I was in the field with my daddy, time it got daylight.
Oh, okay.
I was the oldest.
You were?
Uh-huh.
Okay.
And I always want to learn how to plow. My daddy said, girl, little old thing, you can't plow. Let me try, Daddy. And they get them plant mowers that the cut ground where you sit on it and ride and cut the ground. I said, I'll do that. He let me do that. I got on the thing and had to turn the muse turned, and I turned off of it. He said, see you, yeah, you. And I would be the last thing come out of the field, me and him.
Really?
Yep, I had a good time with my family.
Well, that's it.
And my mama, you know, when it would come a storm up, you know, that had those old tin top houses, you know, with those tin top.
Yes, ma'am.
She'd get us in there, set aside the beds, take us all three and sit down inside the bed, and she'd tell us, now the good Lord's doing his work, now we got to be quiet. Oh, I wish it would be a better world. The world is just like it was the first day God made. It's the people in the world.
In the world, okay.
Yeah. That they just went crazy.
Okay.
People don't love people like they used to back then.
That is true. That is true. They
don't.
don't.
So my mama used to have a lady friend and worked all day till 12 o'clock on Saturday and get off. You kids, I got to go, me and Miss So-and-so is sick. We got to go and clean her house. They go to take that old broom and bucket and all that stuff and fix that lye soap water and clean them wood floors. You could eat off of them.
Really?
And wash them windows and things like that. Or, can't get nobody to do nothing now. Money, money, money.
That's true.
Money's the root of all evil.
Yeah, it was a community spirit back then. It was more of a community spirit back then.
Yeah, everybody loved everybody.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah, everybody cared for everybody.
That's true.
But now, don't nobody. It's dog eat dog again. Be telling us. She tell us the good Lord that He made the world, and everything He made it very good.
That's right.
She tells us, don't forget that now. I said, okay. She talked to us about the Bible.
She did.
Yeah.
Well, that's good.
She was a shouting little lady.
She was.
You know, you didn't see her when she was Brown Chapel. And when she moved to Detroit, she joined the church down there. She told that preacher, she said, now look, don't touch me because I get happy and I will shout. And so I met the pastor. He said, your mama come down here and woke this church up. She had everybody shouting. It's just as good. If you don't like people's ways, you don't have to misuse them. You can be nice to those people. That's the way I feel about it.
Yeah, that's true. That's what the Bible teaches us.
Yeah, I don't have no hate for nobody. No. Ain't no two people alike in this world.
That is true.
The house I live in was the homestead, Kersey. And all the way to the corner to Michigan Avenue was Kersey's.
So the family, just like the white family here, you all lived together, really. I mean, not necessarily in the same house, but on the same street.
Right.
So you had blocks of families.
We played. We fought. And we loved each other. Now, when a storm was coming up, we all had to go to Grandma's house and be very still till the storm was over, because that was God's work. Well, we used to make mud pies, and one of the neighbors had a little cook stove. We used to cook greens with worms. And one thing I remember, in my uncle's garage, he had some sort of contraption, and we all would hold hands, and somebody would touch it, and we'd all get a shock.
That was fun.
That was fun.
Oh my goodness.
I think I had a good education. I started to school at Harriet School. From there, I went to stay with my grandfather in Ann Arbor.
I went to Perry School in Ann Arbor. When I came back, I went to Roosevelt School in Ypsi, and I graduated from Ypsi High. And I think I got a good education. I learned to sew. I learned to cook. We had, what was it then?
Home economics.
Home economics. Yeah.
And you are an accomplished seamstress, are you?
Not really.
But you do real well.
Well, I used to. Well, I must have been about 6 months old when I was christened at Brown Chapel. I went to Sunday school. At one time, I was a Sunday school teacher as I grew older. And another time, I sang with the choir, excuse me, on Easter. I sent my kids simpler.
Yes.
Much simpler. And we had fun.
And
we had playmates, cousins, neighbors, all up on First Avenue.
so it was one big family.
Right.
Big community, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And everybody knows everybody in Ypsilanti.
Yes, we did. I used to go with Mama to choir practice. She sang the choir, and Bernice played the organ.
All in the family.
All in the family. I have her diary, my mother's diary, a little diary, and it seemed like every other day they were doing something at church.
Oh, that's precious there.
It is.
So,
Jesus Loves Me is my favorite hymn. And let's see. I know you have to give to receive, whatever it is, and you reap what you sow. Those are my two things I truly believe. That is the advice I give everyone.
When I was coming up, I didn't know too much about my dad. Because he was sick. But my mama raised all 5 of us. We was kids, small kids, and she had to go and work out on the farm. But we didn't stay in the country. We stayed in town. But she went, when we worked out. That's what she did, But she kept us all together. She wouldn't now want us separated and stay with nobody. I heard my mama said her cousin wanted me and my brother, because we was older, so we could work out in the field. But she said, no, I'm going to keep this. If we don't have nothing but cornbread and molasses, said, I'm keeping my kid. And so my mother raised all us, grew up with her, not with nobody. I didn't get a chance to go to school like other kids, because we were small, and my dad was sick. I can remember when he was sick, but I can't remember no other way, and so we had to stay home, and my mama did, working. And I can remember that she'd go and work, and we had to stay there and keep the smaller kids. And I remember my dad used to sip the clothes out. He sipped the cutter clothes from the white. And I can remember, this is good. And I had the camera up to his bed. I was small. And he let you know if they wasn't shit modern stuff like we got now. So everything was on hand. And I used to remember every Saturday afternoon I had to scrub that porch. You know what you scrub it with? Throw some sand up on that porch and scrub it. And John, you talking about clean? That porch be clean, I'm telling you. And you did iron on Sunday. You had to get all that stuff ready Saturday night. Get your bath and get all that ready. No ironing. And I used to say a whole lot of time, I said, I'll be glad when I get grown because I can iron when I get ready. And I went to school one day, and my brother stayed home to keep the kids. Then he'd go to school the next day. That's how I went to school. So I got tired of doing that, and I just quit school. I think I was about 12, and I got me a job. And guess what I made a week?
What?
$1.50 a week.
What kind of job did you have? What were you
Babysitting for the white folk. Had to go in the back door to do that. And that's what I made, $1.50 a week. And I was getting no paper money. Or we were getting silver dollars. And them things was heavy. I learned the 23rd song. I've been living that. I learned the way I could say it. I used to love to go to the sanctified church. I used to love to go there, but my mother didn't go there. She went to the Baptist church. So then all of us just started going to, that's where I've been there all the time, just the Baptist church. And I never run from church to church. People run from church to church. What you running there for? Ain't no better over there than is over here. So if you intend to do right, you're going to do good right where you're at. You ain't go over there. That's how come churches all broke up today. Running from church. I don't know how long I've been in since I made up my mind to join the church. I don't know how many years I've been there. I know I haven't been in there over 50, way over 50 years. And that same when Reverend Robinson. See, I went to a whole lot of churches, many kids. I raised all my kids. I even raised them till they got grown up to go home. Till their parents could take them and, I just love kids that well. I used to hear of, I think it was another old lady, I can't think of her name. She says, sister, I said, look at me. She said, it's the way you treat people, and you don't scorn them. Say, if you don't think it's right, say you just go right ahead and don't try to talk back to them. But I never talk back to nobody. I don't talk back to grown people right now. Just right now, if you say something to me and I don't like it, I ain't gonna say nothing. You know what I do? I get back here and I think about it. Then when I think about it, I say, well, she's right, I ain't gonna say a word. And I ain't gonna say nothing. That's what I did. I've been doing that all my life. I've been helping people all my life, listen. All my life. I never stop. Anything I can do for you, I do it. If it's in my power, that I do that. But this thing got to place now, I can't help myself. You know what I mean? People's helping me now. And so I just been that way all the time.
Isaac Difford, I was born in Montgomery County, Alabama, on a farm. My father was a farmer. And it's tough and thing. Our mother was named Annie Jane.
Oh, you're named after your mother.
Yeah, so it was 8 of us. She died in childbirth when she was 36 years old. Anyway, I was 9 years old. My oldest brother was 15. But we came on down to me from 3. It was 3 older than me. 3 brothers. And I understand she had a girl in childbirth. She died. Was the first child. But then it was 8 all the way down the line. My baby sister was 3 months old. I don't know. Anyway.
Well, all right.
But it was, and
as I said, between 1915 and what year Johnny was born, Dora? You remember? So 1927 down to 1927. It was 8 of us that lived. Well, we used to play ball. Played basketball. When we were in school, I mean. Yeah, we did it out of school. We had a lot of things to do at the school. Whatever was happening, that we were into it. But it just things changed. I was raised up between 5 brothers, so I didn't. But the girls around that were older than me, they would come and get me on a Sunday afternoon. We would walk down the highway. Some of them would meet their boyfriends, and they would walk back to the house with them. And when you courted then. Maybe you know somebody courting, I don't know. So you come in, the boy come in and you sit. And you didn't get too close together. I mean, you sat at 9 o'clock. Sometimes the boy would stay too long. They would yell bedtime. And what else? But it was fun. It was nice, you know. That's what you did. Everybody did it. And boy could come Wednesday night and Sunday.
Okay. It's kind of different nowadays. So.
Tell me about it. Yes.
What would you advise them?
What can I say is the young people nowadays, because one thing, that mothers and fathers not teaching the children because maybe they weren't taught. Just like they got it now, no prayer in the school.
That's true.
And taking prayer out of everything, they want God in, and they want to say God is doing. I mean, they want to think they are ruling the world. And once in a while, I believe that's why all these tornadoes and things that's happening in places that it never happened. I think God is trying to show them He's still boss. And if they don't stop, they don't tell them what's going to happen. That's what I see about it. What can you say? You can't say what you did to do. I don't think you married anything to get old. It just happens. Whatever God sees for you, I guess. That's all I can say. But life has been it's been good. You had your hard times and you had your good times.
I was on the farm. I was on the farm with my father, and I was on the farm with my father and my sisters and brothers, and I had to walk about a mile and a quarter to work to school, and we had horses and cattle, and you know, and it was different. Had to get up early in the morning and work a lot when I was growing up. Well, I used to go to square dances. I used to go to church. You know, and play ball and pitch horseshoes, ride horses and drive horses, horse and buggy, you know.
So you were very active.
What's that?
You were very active.
Oh yeah, my father or brothers or somebody be with me. We'd ride horses together, and I didn't have no mother. I don't remember my mother. I used to stay with my sister too. I stayed in a lot of different towns. I lived in Lansing, Battle Creek, Saginaw, Detroit, you know.
All in Michigan. Where were you born?
I was born in Remus, Michigan. Remus, Michigan.
I'm not familiar with Remus. Where is that near?
That's 20 miles west of Mount Pleasant.
Okay.
I got a farm on the road to Remus now.
You do?
Yes.
Who farms for you?
Oh, a fellow named Mr. Howard, Howard's.
What do you grow out there?
Beans and corn, potatoes.
Are you active in it anyway? Do you go out and supervise, or have you done any planning, or?
You mean on the farm?
Yeah, on the farm.
No, it's too far away.
Yeah. Wow.
I just read it. Everybody in the country was just real friendly, and you was home everywhere you went. It seemed like we didn't have to lock our doors or nothing. Nowadays, you got to lock the door. You got to lock the doors. All the neighbors along are good, and they watch out for us, and we watch out for them, and that's real good.
It is.
Good.
It makes for a good neighborhood.
Right.
Yeah, and good neighbors.
Mm-hmm.
Good community.
The Bible says, love your neighbor.
That's right.
Love your neighbor.
Love your neighbor. That's right, as yourself. As a matter of fact, what's the secret to living together over 70 years with the same person? You've been married over 70 years.
Oh, there ain't nothing to it. Just get along, that's all.
You make it sound so easy. Just get along. What do you do when you have arguments?
What's that?
How do you handle arguments and disagreements?
Well, just talk it over, or either walk away. I have to do that a lot now. I have to communicate, right?
That is so true. That is so true.
And just trust each other. I trust my wife, and that means a lot. And talk, try to be happy. That helps, try to be happy and do everything that you can to make each other happy. And then you're all right.